Some other news, a January 6 rioter who was pardoned by President Trump has been arrested and charged with making a credible death threat against Democratic House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. According to court documents, the FBI alerted New York State Police over the weekend that 34-year-old Christopher Moynihan allegedly sent text messages stating he planned to target Jeffries at an event in New York City, writing, quote, "I cannot allow this terrorist to live," and, quote, "I will kill him for the future." Those are text messages. Moynihan, seen here storming the Capitol on January 6th, there inside the chamber, was convicted and sentenced to 21 months in prison for his part in the riot before he was pardoned. In a statement on the arrest, Jeffries thanked law enforcement and later slammed Trump's blanket pardons of convicted January 6 rioters.
When it comes to these extremists out there, you better watch how you talk when you talk about me. I think the reckless and irresponsible pardons of hundreds of violent felons on January 6th has consequences. The consequences are, we've seen crimes committed by people who Donald Trump pardoned on the first day he was sworn into office, by folks who have been released back into society all across the country. Some of them violent crimes. There are consequences when these extremists who are part of the Trump administration label the entirety of the Democratic Party as terrorists.
House Speaker Mike Johnson condemned the threat against Jeffries, but then turned to blame the left for rising political violence.
Anybody who threatens political violence against elected officials or anyone else should be have the full weight and measure of the Department of Justice on their head. I trust that will happen. I hope it will. We are intellectually consistent about that, obviously. I will tell you this. The violence on the left is far more prevalent than the violence on the right.
It's not true, Jonathan Martin. We've cataloged and documented that time and time again, especially when he's talking in the context of January 6th. You might not want to go down that road given who was storming the Capitol on that day. This should be one of those cases where there's no second clause. You can just condemn death threats against one of your colleagues, Hakeem Jeffries, without then having to quickly scramble and make sure Donald Trump hears the thing you want him to say.
Precisely why he did it. No, the first part of his statement I thought was to be commended. This individual should never have been free in the first place. And those images that you showed of him standing behind the Speaker's dais in the U.S. Capitol, that same person is now issuing death threats against the House Minority Leader. There it is. It's so appalling. I think of all that Trump has done in this second time around, freeing the people who all stormed the Capitol with no individual discretion at all, I think it's really beyond the pale.
Well, Elizabeth Buemiller, love to hear your thoughts on this. I mean, all these pardons, I think this is something that's very important not to forget. These pardons when Donald Trump returned to the presidency of convicted criminals. And this is what happens when you let a convicted criminal out of prison.
Right, and it was as you could be, right away. We have to hear from the speaker that again the violence on the left is worse than on the right, and that is, as we pointed out, exactly the opposite consistently. I mean, Trump just pardoned George Santos. He's not a danger to society, but still, but this is very disturbing that all of these people are free and roaming about, and the rhetoric from the right about the terrorist Democrats is very alarming. That we have never seen these kind of threats, these threats and this kind of violence in recent years as we do right now, but on both sides. But it's just, everybody has more security now. Media organizations do. It's alarming out there.
Go ahead, Jay Mark. His sentence was commuted. Go ahead.
The Santos thing is extraordinary, especially because he really now doesn't even have to pay any restitution to the folks he defrauded. But it also raises an important issue here, though. Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, keeps saying no one's above the law. After they pursue Trump's enemies and then doesn't mention the fact that he's pardoned only his allies. I'm still waiting, David, for the moment in which Trump's DOJ is actually going to bring charges against a Trump ally. And that's the question if you still believe the rule of law exists in this country, okay, let's see. Will they bring charges against a single Trump ally in the next 3 years? I'm waiting.
I think that's the right question, and it's extraordinary. It's so much of this is rewriting history,
right?
And that the last month or so, Trump grabbed onto this one report that there were 300 undercover FBI agents in the crowd on January 6th. That is just false. I've spoke to multiple FBI agents, one who was in Washington before, during, and after January 6th, and that's just not true. And it's just this narrative that Trump is the victim, the January 6th rioters are the victims, and that's just false. I mean, people saw that with their own eyes.
Confirmed that.
And as well, and then I just, look, the killing of Charlie Kirk was horrific, and everyone condemned that and should condemn that kind of violence. There's no question, but in terms of, yes, researchers say there is more right-wing violence than left-wing violence at this point.
And there's one area where there's still a lot to be revealed, and that's in the Jeffrey Epstein case. And the Attorney General of Arizona is now suing the Speaker, trying to get Adelita Grijalva put in place so she can have that final vote that gets the files released. So we're following that. We'll have more on that later. MSNBC senior national security reporter David Rohde, thank you very much for coming on this morning. And